G'day guys! So for today's video I am going to be doing a bit of, I guess you could call it a revamp of my Yokomo drift car. So I've had this car for a little while and I guess you could say I did this build on a budget, and I'm slowly doing things to the car to improve it, both performance wise and I guess you could say aesthetic wise. So we're going to be focusing on the aesthetics or the looks of the car. So in this video I will be putting a new body and wheels on it, and there's something else I've done recently too, because I'm always doing some little things here and there, little projects wise with all my RC stuff. I am going to do a separate video on the body. It will be a bit of a how-to video with a few other bodies, but what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the workbench and I will show you what I've done off camera and what we will be doing. Alrighty guys, so here is the drift car in its current form. So one of the reasons I'm going to be changing the shell on this car is when I used it last, it was at the on-road track where we race. It's not really a track, it's just tennis courts with some pipe laid down, but for the time being that's where we race our on-road cars, and doing a bit of drifting. And if we go to the front here, you can see it suffered some damage. Now I know some of you will be thinking, oh, you know, it's not too bad, can't really notice it. My OCD, however, knows that it's there. I mean, and one of the things too is this shell is a cheap AliExpress shell. I mean, surprisingly, for what I paid for it, I think I paid like 20 odd bucks for it. You know, it came with a wing, came with front, rear and front light buckets, so you could put LEDs in it. You got rear view mirrors, you got wiper blades and whatnot. Surprisingly, for what I paid for it, it's not bad. But it's not true polycarbonate. It's that cheap PVC stuff that you know, it's cheap. The other thing that really irked me with this shell, I mean, part of it is my fault. I assumed that being an electric chassis, it's 190mm wide. However, it is not. It is about 200mm wide, the actual like width of the chassis. So as you can see, you got that overhang. The other thing too is being cheap PVC plastic. I don't know if you can tell, but as you can see, the windows are concave. That happened not long after I painted it, because when I paint it, what I do is I'll do a layer and I'll use like a hairdryer to dry the paint, and being cheap PVC, it kind of concaved in from the heat, so that was a pain in the butt. But yeah, the overhang of the wheels is annoying, and there's the damage on the front. So one of the things, so we'll be putting the new body on for the car. I will show you that shortly. And we'll be putting new wheels on. I will show that on the reveal. But one of the cool things that I have done is, you might notice here I have a battery, and if we look here you'll see I have some LEDs on the side. Since I have a Futaba 10PX, I decided, you know, well, it's got a lot of functions with the radio, and one of the functions are lights, like a light function, so you can program your radio to use lights. And what I did is I got some LEDs and I've put them on. At the moment the wire's just hanging down because the battery's not connected. Yeah, you got lights on this side and on the opposite side here. And what I did is I found on eBay a electronic switch, so a remote, it's a remote switch, because it got me thinking. I have model airplanes and I have big petrol or gasoline for you Americans, petrol models, and I have a remote kill switch. And what it does is on your radio you flick a switch and it cuts power to the ignition. So it got me thinking, can I find a smaller, cheaper version of that to put in here? And on eBay they had these little switches here for about, I think they worked out for about $4 or $5 Australian dollars each. So probably about $2.50, $3 US. And that was from China. And yeah, it just requires you can either plug it into your receiver or a separate power source. So I just have a small 2-cell LiPo, and you plug it in, and with your radio you can have the LEDs on and off. So that's one thing that I've done. So what I'm going to do is, through the magic of video editing, is we'll have the new body and the new wheels and tires on, and we're going to go out and have some fun. So in a split second we'll see new shell. Well guys, here it is. So as you can see, this is a BMW M3. This is the older E30 body, and as you can see, I haven't done what you would call your traditional drift style scheme. Some of you may recognize the livery. For those who don't know, this is a replica of a race car raced by a particular Australian driver named Jim Richards, and this is a picture of him. And he raced this particular BMW in the late 80s, early 90s in the Australian Touring Car Championship. This was before the formula changed to the V8 Supercar Series, which is now known as the Australian Supercar Series. So this is what it was. So as you may recognise, it is the John Player Special livery. So it's black with the gold JPS logos on it. And I've forgotten the brand name of these wheels. I will put them down below here. They're on Yokomo tires. So I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not really happy with this shell. It's a bit of a knockoff shell, and I mean the decals that come with it are crap, to be honest. Like, I'm constantly having to push them down to get them to stick. Also, I found the mold lines for, like, for instance, the exhaust here don't line up properly. I am a little disappointed in it. However, for what it is, it's not too bad. I mean, even as I rub my finger along here, there's a dent in the molding here. So it is a cheap body, I thought, and for what I paid for it, I thought I was getting a decent amount, like a decent shell. But yeah, as you can see, there's a massive gap underneath here. But it is what it is. So, but I'll show you in a sec. I'll turn my radio on. So I will show you the LEDs on here. Just give me a sec, guys. I've got to find the switch. So as you can see, there's a light flashing inside. That is the remote switch. So on my radio here, I have it set up on this button. And then as you can see, the LEDs come on. Like that. So it looks pretty good at night. I'll get it down a little bit lower. So there you can see the LEDs. So yeah, it's it went together pretty well. Like I said, I'm not happy with the way the body turned out to be. I mean, I've learnt my lesson now. I'm not going to buy cheap bodies. I mean, I buy expensive bodies for my race cars, so I might as well do it for my drift car. But one of the things too is, because I made up my own decals, and I explained earlier that I would do a separate video. I found it a bit hard, especially when I'm transferring the decals from the transfer tape or onto the transfer tape. Some of the wording got a little bit squirrely. I can't do much about it, but it came out pretty well. So I suppose what we'll do now is we might as well go take it somewhere and have a bit of fun with it and see how it goes with this shell and with these wheels and tires. Alrighty guys, so we are at the normal area where I do my drifting. Gonna try something a little bit different with recording, so there'll be the usual point of view recording with the camera on my cap. But as you see here, I also have this DJI drone. I'm going to try get some footage with it. It has a follow function where it will follow a person or an object that you tell it to. So I'm going to see if I can get it to follow the car around, and we'll see how we go. So let's get going. Well guys, I hate to disappoint, but for some reason, since I updated my drone, some of the features have changed and doesn't have the traditional tracking. Well, if it does have it, I can't remember how to get to it, and I'm not going to spend ages out here. So what we're going to do is just going to give it a quick run and see how it goes. Try to avoid anyone and avoid some of the mess that's been left here. It's been a while since I've been here, so let's have a little bit of fun. These wheels have a bit of a wider offset than the Yokomo ones, and it seems to actually make it a little bit more stable.
just that slightly wider offset makes all the difference. And these have an adjustable offset too. Oh, there's a rock. Well, I reckon we'll call it there, guys. Amazingly, the car is a lot different to drive. Not the body makes the difference, but the actual wheels. Like I said, they're a wider offset, and it's actually made a difference on how it handles. One thing I have done too with the steering lock, it has these M3 screws that are like about 10mm long. They act as stoppers. I actually took them off so I get a bit more angle, and seems to have made a difference too. Give it a little bit more steering angle, made it a bit more controllable. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions or anything like that, don't hesitate to drop a comment. I'll do my best to respond. Till then, guys, enjoy your hobby and cheers.